is up, guys? Welcome back to another live show here on the Fantasy Fellowship channel. It's Wednesday evening, May 28th. This is mock draft number 3 of the season here. We're going to be mock drafting from the 3rd overall pick in a 12-team league over on ESPN. If you guys are interested in hanging out and joining these mock drafts in the future, I will usually, the ESPN lobbies, they open up 15 minutes before the start time. So for me, I'm Central Time, 6:45 p.m. Central Time. I dropped the link in the comments. We do have, we got Tony in here. He's number 4 right behind me. So we usually have a couple of guys here mock drafting with us. So if you guys are interested in hanging out and doing some mock drafting every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, we will go live and we'll just mock it out basically from here on out until week 1. And the last mock draft we had, you know, I'm going in order. I had pick 1, I had pick 2. We got Pick.Bijan Robinson last time, pick 2. We'll see what happens here at pick 3. And we're underway. And I just want to say, I hope everyone had a lovely Memorial Day weekend, a nice time around family and friends. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yourselves. Saquon Barkley goes pick number 1. Jamar Chase pick number 2. If this is the board, I'm sitting here and I'm just gonna collect Bijan Robinson and feel pretty good about it. Now there's a lot of receivers that we'll get to, and I think the last Wednesday night I ended up hammering running back. I think I got Jonathan Taylor round 2. So hopefully we can do a little bit different things. I am currently in the middle of doing my projections right now. We're actually towards the end. I only have 7 teams left to project. And I will say I have a spicy number 1 player projected. If you take quarterbacks away, you know, running backs, receivers, and tight ends, I have a spicy player at the top right now who's projected to have the most fantasy points. And he has not been picked yet. So we'll see if you guys can guess who that is. He is a first-round pick here in the rankings, but he has not been picked yet. And I think I need to start drafting him more because I'm liking his spot more and more. And as I'm looking at this right now, this is not a PPR mock draft, so that's fine. I'll probably have to remove the PPR stuff from the tags here. But we're doing, I guess, not a PPR draft. We're doing a expert 12-team head-to-head points mock. It looks like this might be. Is this? There's a lot of points being scored here. So 103. It looks like he got 7 points here. 17, 3. This might just be a standard league mock draft here. He had 140 plus the touchdown here. So this is a standard non-PPR mock draft, and we'll kind of draft with that in mind. And I'm going to, every Wednesday night, I'm going to try and change it up. I think once we get closer to the season, we can dial up certain mock drafts. But I think for now, it's good to just widen net it and get as much player takes and exposures as things we can get. But here's our first 12 picks. Round 1's in the book. Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson. Tony does grab CeeDee Lamb here. We have Justin Jefferson at 5. I'm a little bit nervous about Justin Jefferson. Kind of my same thoughts as last year. Don't really know what the quarterback situation is going to be for JJ, but he is a player that can overcome quarterback play for sure. Jahmyr Gibbs at number 6 looks like a good pick. Puka Nacua, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ashton Genty looks like a really good first overall pick in this format. And then Malik Neighbors down here at 170. If you are drafting in a standard league, I think running back is my preference in the first round here. And I usually draft PPR drafts. So I know, Tony, like if you want to keep drafting PPR players, go for it. It's May 28th. No one really cares. We're just trying to see where these ADPs are at. But we're seeing a run on running backs here in round 2. Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, Devon Achane, who I like quite a bit, Nico Collins, A.J. Brown, and then Josh Jacobs. You can really see the projected point totals are vastly different for receivers and running backs right now. Running backs are in the 200s, receivers in the mid 160s right now. Brock Bowers does go. And then we're getting some quarterbacks here. I actually think in a standard league, I want to make sure I grab a top end quarterback because they're going to get by far the most amount of points compared to anybody else in a PPR format. But we're on the clock here. Josh Allen is available. Jalen Hurts is available. And then we have a little bit of a drop-off at the QB position. So I'm not opposed to just grabbing one of these guys. I think tight end in the standard league, I'm going to wait for tight end. I don't know if I need a stud here necessarily. I guess give me James Cook's in a contract dispute right now. But I'm going to lock in James Cook here. If you guys are drafting standard leagues in May, like that'd be crazy. But I think James Cook will eventually figure it out. Hopefully he gets a 2 or 3 year contract extension with the Buffalo Bills. And he ran really hot on touchdowns last year. I don't expect him to get 16 touchdowns and then 2 receiving. He's probably going to be somewhere in that 8 to 12 touchdown range. So touchdowns will come down, but he's still going to get enough volume for me to be interested in. And especially as my RB2, that feels pretty good. It feels like he's like a low end running back 1 that we plug in as wide receiver 2. Tony grabbed Brian Thomas Jr. there. I want to make sure everyone knows, if you're watching my content, Brian Thomas Jr. is one of my favorite players in the whole NFL right now. I think he's an absolute stud, and man, he could be wide receiver 1 this year. I'm very excited about Brian Thomas Jr. Let's see. We're on deck right now. Trey McBride, Drake London. I don't really want to pair London with Bijan Robinson. I'm absolutely crazy about Drake London this year, though. I think he's a fantastic pick. He could be wide receiver 1 as well. I think Michael Penix is super talented. But with the board here right now, I don't really see a running back that I want to dive into. I could take Drake London. I could take T. Higgins. I think at this point, I want to grab a QB1. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts here. And with just being a standard league, getting these rushing touchdowns is huge. Getting, he has good weapons to throw the ball to. I think Jalen Hurts is a bit of a cheat code in this format. I could have went Josh Allen there as well, but I'm equally happy to grab Jalen Hurts here and start with Hurts, Bijan, and James Cook. So we got a lot of rushing touchdowns coming into this team. After I take Jalen Hurts, you see Tony grab Drake London. Absolutely love London this year. He's going to be one of my higher ranked wide receivers, I think, compared to a consensus. So a 3rd round value here in a standard league. Let me just look and see. I have Drake London. And again, I still have 7 teams to project, but I have him up here with Brian Thomas Jr., Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not too big of a point difference in terms of PPR numbers here. So I think Drake London, sign me up round 3. I think Michael Penix is going to pummel him with targets this year. So great pick there, Tony. Joe Mixon, I don't really find myself clicking a lot of Mixon. He's just an older running back. I tend not to do that kind of thing. But last year, that proved to be really, really wise, taking Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, couple of these other older running backs. So I could be swayed that way. I think Josh Allen's a better pick, though. I think Trey McBride getting a potential tight end 1. Not really clicking on a lot of Tyreek Hill. My Breece Hall numbers came in pretty good today when I did the Jets. So I'm liking Breece Hall. I think Justin Fields plus Breece Hall could be a lot of fun, a lot of running. Jets are going to be a heavy running team this year, and Breece Hall probably looking like a top 5, top 10 running back threat. I know a lot of people like Braylon Allen, but honestly, Braylon Allen's advanced metrics were not all that great. So I'm buying as much Breece Hall as I can. I am on the clock here. It is round number 4. In a full PPR setting, Jaxon Smith-Njigba would go nuts. But we're in standard league here. So I'm kind of thinking touchdowns. I'm kind of thinking, yards and things like that. So I kind of like just grabbing Jaxon Smith-Njigba here because I know he's the team's number 1 wide receiver. I know Cooper Kupp's there, but JSN will lead this team in receptions, probably yards, and hopefully touchdowns. And just locking him in for, 80 to 90 yards per game, hopefully. And, maybe 6, 7, 8 touchdowns on the season feels pretty good. So we locked in JSN. Tony did grab Alvin Kamara there at round 4, pick 9. I'm looking at wide receiver here in round 5. There's a lot of good ones at the top of the board. I'll take Zay Flowers. I'm kind of iffy on Rashee Rice. I just don't know if I like him coming off of his ACL. I think it was ACL plus MCL. I'll have to double check that. But a little bit gun shy to spend a 4th or 5th round pick on Rashee Rice, especially when Zay Flowers and Marvin Harrison Jr. are on the board. I think I'm pounding those 2 guys well over Rashee Rice. But other names interest me, like RJ Harvey could be a steal of a rookie here in the 5th round. I think DK Metcalf in Pittsburgh. Right now it's Mason Rudolph, but if Aaron Rodgers does show up in the next week or 2, I think it's June 5th where mandatory OTAs are happening. So we should get an answer soon on the Pittsburgh quarterback. Chuba Hubbard does go here. But I'm interested in DK Metcalf in a standard league for sure. And I also think Garrett Wilson, man, like Justin Fields was able to secure a lot of numbers for DJ Moore that one season they were together. But the board falls perfectly for me here. I need receivers, and guess what? I can have Zay Flowers or Marvin Harrison Jr. So I love Zay Flowers. I love the Baltimore Ravens offense, but I think touchdown potential. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a touchdown scorer. He's a big play guy. Zay Flowers is also a big play guy, but I think there's going to be a big leap for Marvin Harrison Jr. in year 2. So I will grab Marvin Harrison Jr. I kind of wanted to tap DeVonta Smith here for the stack, but I'm feeling pretty good about these young wideouts I got. I got JSN, Marvin Harrison Jr. These are guys that I want on pretty much all my teams this year. So I'm feeling pretty good. And you can kind of tell I'm looking for younger guys in that 23 to 26, 27 year range. And I want to make sure I'm trying to take swings on players that are going to have potentially a career season. And that's where it's ripe, age 23 to 27. I'm looking for those kind of guys. So we'll go back into the draft board here. Where was I? So yeah, I grabbed Marvin Harrison. Tony grabs RJ Harvey. Very good pick. I'm excited about Harvey. I think he's going to be the lead back. I don't think Julian McLaughlin's that serious of a threat for touches. Audric Estime, kind of whatever. They drafted RJ Harvey high and above a couple other running backs that I thought were interesting. And I expect RJ Harvey to come in there and get a lot of targets. We know Bo Nix likes to dink and dunk and that kind of thing. So I'm a big fan of the RJ Harvey pick here by Tony. We're up to pick again. And guess what? DeVonta Smith still on the board. I see a couple other players that I really like as well. You can kind of tell the board is all receivers, a couple quarterbacks, and some tight ends. So I think we played the board well here in a standard format. I'm kind of interested in Tet McMillan because I think he could be the team's wide receiver 1. But hey, we'll have fun a little bit and we'll throw DeVonta Smith on this team. We know he's a pound for pound man. He's one of the best receivers in the league. I think his route running is fantastic, and I have no question on the talents of DeVonta Smith. And hey, if anything happens to AJ Brown or something, he misses some games. Like we know we're getting some slop games out of DeVonta Smith with 10 plus targets. So I feel good about that pick. Part of me wants to continue to ignore tight end. I think there's guys that I like stretched out later into this draft. The board falls and we get Tet McMillan, Matthew Golden, and Travis Hunter. I like all 3 of these rookies. If this is Dynasty, we're taking Travis Hunter, I think, over McMillan and Golden. In a redraft league, I kind of like McMillan because I know I'm getting attached to Bryce Young. I think he's going to lead the team in targets. Travis Hunter is going to be the team's number 2 receiver. But hey, man, I'm going to take a shot and swing for the fences here. We'll put Travis Hunter on our bench and see how it goes. I feel pretty good about that. It sounds like he's going to be primarily focused on offense. Maybe he develops a little bit into some of the defensive side. But for now, I want one of the most talented players on my team, especially this late in the draft. Round 7, sign me up for Travis Hunter. Tony does grab Tet McMillan. Like, this is a sweet spot to grab one of your bench receivers, a rookie receiver, especially like Travis Hunter or Tet McMillan. So that feels pretty good here. I like the value of Pat Mahomes falling here, end of round 6. We've seen some interesting years, especially post Tyreek Hill. This offense has run through Travis Kelce. We've seen running backs kind of get recycled through this offense. But man, like across the board, this might be one of the most talented offenses we've seen in Kansas City. You still have Travis Kelce, but now you got Xavier Worthy year 2, a little bit of Rashee Rice, a little bit of Hollywood Brown. They drafted Jalen Royals. I still like Noah Gray as tight end 2. And then we'll figure out that running back room here. So I find myself, if you want to wait for Patrick Mahomes, I think that's a pretty solid idea this season because that's probably the cheapest we're going to get Mahomes for the foreseeable future. Some nice names here being picked in round 6. I tend to like the quarterback values in this round more than some of the other picks. You can get some veteran receivers like Cooper Kupp. Don't love Keon Coleman going this high. I think that's a pretty bad pick. Might be the worst pick of the draft so far. But Ramondre Stevenson, man, I don't know if I can see Trayvon Henderson outscoring Ramondre Stevenson this year. I'm taking Ramondre Stevenson quite a bit in the best balls that I'm doing. I like the running backs here at the top of the board. I might be interested in doing that. Have you guys seen the Stephon Diggs videos? I don't know what the hell he's up to, but I don't like it. I wish the Patriots would have spent money on Stephon Diggs, but it is what it is. We're up to pick. We could take some swings on some of these running backs here. Don't really love the receivers. Diggs, Pearsall is interesting. Jacoby Myers. I feel pretty good about the 4 receivers I got, though. Still don't have a tight end. I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm just going to take a stab here at Jalen Warren. I know he's a good pass-catching back. If Rodgers is there, he's going to get enough dump-offs, to be valuable. And I don't think Caleb Johnson is going to be that involved in the passing game. I think Jalen Warren wins that spot. And there's a chance Jalen Warren does out-touch him with carries as well. So I feel good about stashing Jalen Warren on this team. We're heading up to pick shortly here. There's still a lot of guys that I like on this board, so we'll see what happens. But so far, Jalen Hurts is our QB1. Bijan and James Cook just hold on our RB1 and 2. Our receiver core is Jaxon Smith-Njigba, Marvin Harrison, DeVonta Smith, Travis Hunter. So we got some weapons here. I'm interested in Tank Bigsby, especially in a standard league format where it's touchdowns. Austin Eckler, not so much in a PPR setting. I think I'll take a chance here on the second-year play. I know he's an older prospect, but Ricky Pearsall stepping into a larger role year 2 excites me a little bit. So we'll see if Hunter and Pearsall can compete for a wide receiver 4 duties. And then I think I'm kind of good at wide receiver. We'll see if we can maybe grab one more value there late. But so far, our running back corpse looks pretty good. Bijan, Cook, and Jalen Warren. Receivers, JSN, Marvin Harrison, DeVonta, Travis Hunter, and Ricky Pearsall. 1, 2, 3, 4 bench spots left to fill. We'll find a tight end, and defense and kicker are usually our last pick. So I hope you guys are enjoying the live stream so far. Like the video. Let me know if you guys have any future mock drafts you guys would like to see. We'll probably start venturing out, whether it's Sleeper, Yahoo, that kind of stuff. We'll start getting different mock drafts out there for you guys. But again, it's early. If you guys are drafting early, cheers to you. You guys are sick. Thank you for hanging out with me on Wednesday, May 28th. Mock drafting. This is a crazy, crazy time to be alive. We're just having fun watching a bunch of dudes get picked randomly on the computer. So I do want a tight end here. I think there's some sleeper tight ends that I like quite a bit. I did miss Tucker Kraft. I missed on Evan Ingram. Those were 2 guys that I had higher on my board probably than other people. But if you're waiting for tight end, man, I don't necessarily want to take Dallas Goedert, but grabbing some of these tight ends, whether it's Hunter Henry's going to catch touchdowns, Tyler Warren. I think for me in a standard league, we're going to probably just figure it out along the season and try and get that 6 to 8 points per game that we need to sustain at tight end. So at this point, I don't mind waiting. We can kind of figure that out. Let's just look at the depth here. Rachaad White, Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet. I'm kind of big into Jaden Blue. I think he's a fun player on your bench here. Not super into Rachaad White, but Zach Charbonnet does excite me. We know Kenneth Walker gets hurt every now and then. And when Charbonnet's on the field, we know he is productive. So I'll just collect a handcuff here. RB4, anything happens to Kenneth Walker, we know we're starting Charbonnet. So I'll take a swing there. Ideally, I get Jaden Blue here because I think he could be an exciting backup if he does outplay DeVonta Smith or Javonte Williams, my bad. A lot of quarterbacks available this late. Only one running back here at the top of the board. I don't want to grab Dallas Goedert, but I'm not opposed to it. I just don't know if I want to have Hurts, Smith, and Goedert all on this team. But Goedert, he missed some time throughout the year, but into the playoffs, he was one of the better players here. So if I didn't take DeVonta Smith, I'd probably he's probably the correct pick if I'm being honest here. But we'll grab Jaden Blue as a bullet sleeper on our bench. And we got 2 more spots here on the bench. I don't mind maybe evaluating flex and seeing what comes up. But we know for sure we need a backup tight end. We need 2 tight ends probably in this format. And then maybe we take a swing on a rookie receiver, whether it's Jaden Higgins, Egbuka, Trey Harris. Even Kyle Williams is interesting to me a little bit. I do think Christian Kirk presents a little bit of value as a guy that could step in as the number 2 receiver on that team. In fact, in my projections, I have Kirk as the wide receiver 2 over Jaden Higgins in this class. Rashad Bateman's a nice receiver to put on your bench. I think he's interesting. Some of the running backs down here, I think Jordan Mason is a sleeper, man. We know Aaron Jones is up there in age. Trey Benson, there's a lot of sleepers down here, man. Oh my goodness. Let's look at these ugly tight ends. Frymouth, Ferguson, Jasicki. I think I can randomly start one of those turds. I'm going to grab a tight end in a bit, but let's go ahead and grab Trey Benson, who, again, anything happens to James Conner, we're starting Trey Benson. Now I don't necessarily need to grab a second tight end. We'll evaluate the board here, but give me one of these guys. I don't really care who it is. I think Jake Ferguson is in for a step forward this season from last year. He had 0 touchdowns. He still found a way to nearly 60 catches, about 500 yards. That's not a terrible stat line if you add some touchdowns in there. So we'll take a chance on Jake Ferguson, and then maybe I grab one more tight end here. Honestly, Zach Ertz was pretty sneaky good last year. He had 7 touchdowns, 66 catches, 650 yards. Like I think week 1 we could start Zach Ertz and see what Ferguson does, and maybe we end up starting him. So I don't mind grabbing 2 later tight ends with this kind of format. Brenton Strange is another guy that I think last year, I mean, I had Evan Ingram on a couple teams, and I was playing Brenton Strange a handful of times. He didn't really blow up in any kind of game here. He did have 11 for 73 one day. He does catch a couple touchdowns here and there. I think Strange could be a nice sleeper tight end this season. And then Mike Gesicki, honestly, pretty good numbers last year. He had some slob games. He didn't really catch a lot of touchdowns. He only had 2 touchdowns all year. I see that number growing. I see him continuing to be, 3, 4, 5 catches per game. Kind of want a piece of the Bengals offense. So Gesicki, Zach Ertz, those guys are pretty good values this late for tight end. So we'll grab Mike Gesicki here and finish up with defense and kicker. I'm just going to take a peek here at Tony's team and see how he ended up going. He's got Dak Prescott, QB1, and I have a soft spot for the Cowboys. I think that passing offense is going to be electric. They didn't do anything to bring in much of a running game, so I think Dak's going to have to throw the ball again. We're up to pick here. Eagles defense seems like a kind of a no-brainer. I think Jets defense also looks pretty good. I'd have to look at the schedules a little bit deeper, but it's May 28th. I really don't care. I will grab the Eagles D for now, and we'll figure it out. Once it gets closer to August, I kind of lock in, and sometimes I end up drafting 2 defenses. But for kicker, I try to just get preferably a kicker indoors if I can. One of my favorites is Kaimi Fairbairn. I draft him a lot. I like Joshua Carty for the Rams. I think maybe you can convince me of Daniel Carlson. I think the Raiders are going to be kicking a lot more this year. Better offense this year. I know Geno Smith's not much, but he's going to provide stability for that offense. So Fairbairn is my choice, though. I see the Texans bouncing back, and guess what? He was kicker 4 last year. I see the Texans offense taking a step forward this year. Year 3 was Stroud. Healthy receivers, Fairbairn would be my pick. If I can have any kicker, I think I'm taking Fairbairn. And we'll see what Tony grabs here. I just want to check out Tony's team real quick. He did end up with Dak Prescott. Running backs are Kamara, RJ Harvey. Receivers are sick. Lamb, Thomas Jr., Drake London. You got in TJ Hawkinson. This starting lineup looks pretty strong. The bench receivers, Tet McMillan, Jawan Jennings. He threw in Jack Besh here. And then the backup running backs, Etienne, Mason, Corum, and Ray Davis. So he's going to see if Kamara and Harvey can hold it down. Otherwise, he's got some reinforcements there. That feels pretty good. He grabbed Josh Carty, who I like as well as a kicker. But we're going to grab Kaimi Fairbairn, man. That seems like one of the best picks for me. So, and honestly, in a standard league, dudes, like kickers score a lot of points. You need a good kicker. He scored 166 last year. That's more than Marvin Harrison did last year. Let me double check that. I believe that's true. But a good kicker in a standard league, they're one of your top 3, 4, 5 players every week. If they put up 12 points in a game, they're one of your top scorers. So I like this team quite a bit. Standard league format, we got Jalen Hurts, QB1. Running backs are Bijan and James Cook. The depth at running back includes Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, Jaden Blue, and Trey Benson. So we got some nice handcuffs down there. We can always sub in Jalen Warren if we need to. And then I like the 3 handcuffs down there. Receivers are young and strong. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., DeVonta Smith is our top 3. Bench reinforcements include Travis Hunter, Ricky Pearsall. If I need to add a receiver, I can totally do that. And then we grab 2 tight ends, Ferguson, Mike Gesicki, Eagles D, Kaimi Fairbairn. So there you have it. That was a fun little mock draft there. Again, sorry, I guess I meant to click on a PPR draft, but we end up doing a standard mock draft anyways. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Again, Wednesday nights, I go live 7 p.m. Central Time. If you guys want to join the mock draft, I do post the lobby link 15 minutes before the show. So 6:45 Central Time for me. Again, thank you guys for your time. Don't forget to like the video, comment, all that good stuff. Subscribe. Thank you for your time. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. Got me feeling icy.